And it's all about pets, our furry little friends. That's my Roddy, by the way.
That's a good looking Roddy, actually.
Yeah, she's really nice looking. So here we see that the pet market is it's a multi-billion-dollar business, right? It's huge, the pet market. Especially like look at the over the counter.
Well, it's actually the breeding ground for pharma, and it's interesting when you look at the statistics that right the younger generations aren't having kids, so they have pets. And if you're like us, when you have 4 kids, 4 dogs, and now a cat, but people spend more money on their pets than they do. But people here in the United States spend more on their pets than they do on really everything else and in a household, really. And the key thing, and you'll probably dive into some of this, is the canary in the coal mine philosophy is the same application in your household, right? The coal miners would take a canary into a coal mine in its little cage, because if they got deep enough and the methane levels got high enough, the canary would die, and then they would know time to go. They got to get out. In your household, it's the same scenario. If your pets have allergies and cancer, and granted, this is a limited thing for me because I only grew up in a veterinary practice and watched this happen over 20 years, that what once was very rare is now quite common, and it all has the same cause. So I'll let you go because I don't know where you're going.
That's very true, because I can tell you that when I used to be a breeder, so I don't know if you guys know this, but I was one of the top breeders here in Norway for Bengal cats. And we sold cats all over the country. Well, actually all over the world. And so I had one female that I sent out to a home, and it was funny because they said, "Oh, we love cats," and they have this dog, and they said the dog was just like losing its hair. They didn't know why the dog was losing its hair, and so, anyways, the dog. They finally had to put the dog down, and then so they would thought, okay, let's try a cat. Let's have a cat. They were lonely, so they had the cat, and then wow, like within 2 months, the cat starts losing the hair too. And I said, well, let me take the cat back because it's obviously not the cat, but it's something in your house. Something's wrong in your house, because first we tried the poor dog, and then the cat started losing all the hair. And I said, let me just get the cat back. So I took the cat back, fixed her up, and of course, when I removed her from that environment, she was fine. Later, to come to find out, they had black mold in the house. That's what had happened. It was
Yeah,
so bad.
and you wonder what's happening with the people. And this is the important part as well. We're going to put a focus on pets today. If your pets have issues, you have issues, you just might not be symptomological yet. You might not be showing the complications that they have because they're smaller than you and they're going to respond quicker.
Yeah, this is true. So for the regional outlook, these are the top areas for pets, right? You got North America, you have US, you have Europe, US, Europe, and Germany, and the UK. These are the top 4. Interesting, horses. I used to be a breeder of horses too. Back in the day, I had over 20 horses. This is before I got married. And horses.
Hold on, that's you?
That's actually Kirsten.
I was going to say, it looks like your daughter.
Is Kirsten. Yeah, I think she was like 15 or 16 at the time. She's riding bareback without just with a halter. So, well, our environment has been under attack by heavy metal contamination for years. And this pollution is in again, as we know, it's in the air, it's in the food chain, it's in the water sources. And heavy metal toxicity mimics, those, all types of gastrointestinal disorders. It's a silent killer and debilitating to our dogs, to our cats, and our horses are super sensitive. And we look at the 4 heavy metals for horses are arsenic, because they use weed killer in the pastures. You have mercury because it's in the water, right? Water in the food. And then of course, lead also in the water. And then aluminum, because they use these large containers, right? To put the water in for the animals.
And you got to add the 5th one, because you can't just go 4. You have to go top 5, because
Okay.
you got to have one for the thumb, right? As Michael Jordan said, you have to throw glyphosate in there.
Oh, this is of course. Yes.
And
that's the pesticide. Yes, I should have split that out. They're right.
But yeah, you have the 4 metals, but the big one in addition to that, because of how it correlates, and had I known we were doing animals today, I would have had Mercedes join me, because I have my previous interview with Dr. Mercedes Colburn, who is one of the leading equine iridology experts on the entire planet, and she's seen this in horses doing iridology, looking at their eyes. That she now has the films of taking photographs that they can now identify all the heavy metals, and what she'll tell you. And I can't get her right now, but.
Well, she was amazing. I remember that call. And the interesting thing was that she only used a few drops. So a lot of people think, oh, I have to use this is going to be really expensive. I'm going to have to use like a whole bottle because they weigh so much. No, you do not have to do that. No. Mercedes was just using 1 or 2 drops. And
she started with 1 or 2, and then eventually got the Tommy horse up to like 10 drops twice a day, which is the same as a human. But it's really important to understand with all animals, energetically and really spiritually, they are way more advanced than we are, because they're not inhibited in the way that we are, because they don't watch the news and they don't pay attention to all the other stuff. They are just these amazing, spiritual beings that respond a lot quicker. But here's also the secret. And we've had a couple of our customers, ambassadors, prove this here in the U.S. Ron's not on here, but Ron Wheeler, he's a customer and ambassador of ours, and his dog had really bad cataracts. Dog's like 12 years old, was going blind, and he's like, "Look, I want to try this for my dog, not for myself. And if it can help my dog, I've got hundreds of people that are going to do this." And he's like, "I want to do this for a month." I'm like, "It'll only take 2 weeks." He's like, "What do you mean?" I'm like, "It'll take 2 weeks and the dog will be able to see. It's okay." And sure enough, clear the dog's eyes up in about 2 weeks. And when you see effects in animals, you have to understand there is no placebo effect. Mm-hmm. I can't tell the Tilly dog I'm going to put drops on her food and she's going to feel better because I'm putting drops on her food. If the stuff works, it works. If it doesn't work, you're not going to see any changes. And that's what's really, really crucial to understand, is that you can't influence them. So if you're getting outcomes, you're getting outcomes. But let's look at drugs.
Oh boy, this is big business here.
Mm-hmm.
And it's interesting, all the drugs that, well, this is what is used for canine behavior problems.
And what's really intriguing with this list is you can see serotonin, antagonists, serotonin reuptake inhibitors, which are really popular in humans. But I was watching a show. I've watched like a quarter of an episode. But there's a dog trainer out in Oakland, California, that has his own show on working with dogs. I've only watched about 15 minutes of one episode, and I heard this repeated multiple times. The first thing he does when he's working with dogs or bringing in people is he puts the dogs in a dopamine state. Hold on. Let's make sure we make that clear. Put the dogs in a dopamine state. That means play with them so they get happy. Mm-hmm. But you know what's really cool? We know how to put dogs in a dopamine state. Sprinkle, sprinkle. They don't even need a whole capsule.
Well, that's interesting. I hadn't thought about that. But of course, my dog is so good anyway, so she doesn't need anything. The only thing I can say about her is that, she is getting, she's about 12 years old now. So she's a little bit arthritic, but she's like a puppy. I mean, her coat is good. She doesn't have any gray hair. She's just, yeah, she's so good. And she's so well
Do you
trained.
give her any Restore? Do you put Restore on her food?
I haven't done that. Should I do that? Should I try
Oh,
that?
absolutely. Oh, I would. I mean, let me make sure that I phrase this properly for everybody here that's watching this. If you love your pets, do it. If
How much are people giving to their pets? I mean,
I
I'm
would, I
not
mean,
going to give her a whole sachet.
no, you don't need to, like a quarter of a sachet with that, like
Mhm.
a quarter of an ounce. It doesn't take a lot with them. You could probably even do a little bit less than that.
Yeah.
But I've tested it with the Tilly dog and with our two Frenchies, and they love it, and it's great for them.
Hmm. Well, and here's the complimentary, you know, look at that. L-theanine. Who who knew, right? Um, of course, you've got these pheromone sprays, and that's just try to keep, again, it's they're trying to keep them calm, and then they got all these diets.
The key points is, as humans, we do our effort to make sure that we're eating clean, right? That we're getting good water. The question I have for a lot of people is, when you're giving your pets their water, is it filtered? Do you have a whole house water filter that you're using, or are you giving your pets filtered water? Or are they just drinking out of the tap? And would you do the same thing in your water supply? And because a lot of people have fluoridated and chlorinated water, you're giving that to the little guys that you should be taking care of. So are you giving them filtered water? Like, we have a whole house water filter and our filter in our refrigerator. So I make sure that the Tilly dog and our dogs get really good filtered water. But then their food, you have to understand, they're getting the byproducts,
Yeah.
right? And my parents did such a good job over the years in practice of moving more integrative constantly. But even with raw foods, which most people can't do, whether it's due to timing, cost, or just being able to palate it. Working with my mom, and when she would try to source different things, because you get duck necks and turkey necks and rabbit and all different kinds of meats and sources of foods for dogs and cats. But
Okay, so we have a testimonial disclaimer for our furry friends, right? So the testimonials given reflect real life experiences and opinions of pet owners. However, the experiences are personal to those particular pet users, who may not necessarily be a representative of all pet users of our products. We do not claim, and you should not assume, that all pet users will have the same experiences. So again, results may vary. And the views and opinions contained in the pet testimonials belong solely to the pet owners and do not reflect the Root brand views or opinions, and neither of the pets or their owners have been paid or compensated for their testimonials. And again, the testimonials are not intended, nor should they be construed as claims that our products can be used to diagnose, treat, mitigate, cure, prevent, or otherwise be used to treat any disease or medical condition.
and here we go.
And here we go. And I do hope that Dr. Marina Carew is on the line, because she started a group called Root Pets.
Hi, everybody.
Hey, Marina. Thank you for joining us.
I'm here to tell you about Rooted Pets. I've got 3 lovely dogs, and they're very fit and healthy, but I give them clean slate every day, and I've also started giving them a little bit of Restore in their food, because I want them to stay nice and healthy. But I do have some testimonials from friends of mine who've been using it. One of them is my friend Jean, who I met because she became my dog sitter, and she has, I think, 7 dogs. She's into rescuing bulldogs from Hungary, and last year she got Josephine. Poor Josephine, had been stuck in a cage for 7 years.
Oh.
Never allowed out. Had to defecate in her cage, eat in her cage, and she was just used as a puppy farm, puppy machine. And she was rescued and brought over to England last year. And Jean took her on in September. And the poor dog, because she couldn't walk because she had lots of feces between her toes that dried up, and she kept getting abscesses. And the vet said, you know, you're going to have this forever. And I kept saying, you got to give her clean slate. You got to give her clean slate. So she's been giving her clean slate, and the abscesses. Jean's been absolutely brilliant with the dog. No more abscesses. The dog can walk. The dog didn't want to eat the other day. And so Jean took her to the vet, who's a specialist in bulldogs, and he could not believe how healthy that dog is. And he said, you know, I don't know what you're doing, but that dog is so healthy. I expected her to have, I think he thought she might have kidney stones, because she's on a raw diet, and he expected that she would probably have kidney stones, but he couldn't find anything. And he was just absolutely amazed at how healthy that dog was. And I put that down to Jean's good care, first of all, but also definitely clean slate. And Jean will never stop using it and giving that to her dogs. So that's one amazing testimonial. I have another friend, Michelle, who has 2 chihuahuas, and they're quite elderly. And one of them, as a puppy, a security guard stepped on the puppy and damaged its leg very badly. And so the dog's always had problems with its legs. And as they're elderly, they weren't moving around terribly quickly. So I said to Michelle, you've got to give it clean slate, because Michelle absolutely loves the products. So she gives them clean slate and now gives them a lick of Restore. And she said they're like newborn, they're puppies again. They just run around. And this is what I'm finding. People who've got elderly dogs are saying that their dogs, it's almost like they've become puppies again. They're running around and they're happy and playful and joyful and not achy anymore. So I just think we should all be giving this to our pets, because as Clayton says, and I've read, that the dogs are closer to the ground, so they sniff everything. Yeah. So they're the ones that are getting all the toxins much more of them and more quickly than we are, and they've got smaller body masses. And also when they lie on the furniture, all the fire retardants. And I don't have my dogs vaccinated, but I just don't have them done. And but if I did, one of them did have vaccinations to start with, and he was given kennel cough, and I was so cross because he was coughing for weeks afterwards. But I just think that we should all be giving our pets what we would give ourselves, which is clean slate and definitely Restore. And I'm going to try a little bit of Zero In. I'm trying to think of other stories. I have heard. I'm trying to think of something. Yes, I've been seeing a lady who's got an elderly dog who was 11, and she said that her dog is got a new lease of life. She had lots of aching joints and things because the dog, they live out in the middle of the countryside, and the dog had been drinking lots of water from puddles, which this lady later found out contained lots of chemicals, and so the dog became really sick. And so last year she started giving her clean slate, and the dog is like a puppy again. So, thank you, Clayton and Christina and everybody else with Roots, because not only are we getting ourselves healthy, we're getting our pets healthy too.
I'll hit on a couple things. I'm actually on the Root Pet site. If you're on Facebook and you have animals, you should join Root Pets. It's awesome.
Rooted Pets.
Back in 2000, when did I pull these? 2014. I pulled a couple studies. I think you can find these online because they're from the Environmental Working Group. Just look up EWG, polluted pets, and you can see it's the original article was published in 2008, and they're looking at chemical exposures and pets' health, and they had a top 10 list. And we know now that mesothelioma in dogs, from asbestos exposure is prevalent. They have bladder cancer, which has become all too common because of the insecticides and herbicides. They've got canine malignant lymphomas, due to yard herbicide application. Well, what do we know that is? Glyphosate.
Mm-hmm.
The high rates of testicular cancers in military dogs, oral squamous cell carcinomas in cats, and the use of flea control products, because you treat your cats with their flea treatment. And what do cats do? They lick themselves to clean themselves. So they pollute themselves while you're poisoning them. And then the fire retardants, because as Marina was mentioning, if you have your couch and you have if you have carpet, or even if you have hardwood floors, they use different chemicals in those, and those are always off-gassing. They're sniffing it, they're inhaling it, they're closer to the fabric than we are, and they absorb more of it. And because they're smaller, their surface area, is a lot more dense. So the levels of toxicity are magnified. Teflon and PFCs, this is another one of the findings, are 2.4 times higher in dogs than in people. In the fire retardants, as I was hitting on, are 23.4 times higher. And mercury, this is scary. That was actually in cats, right? The fire retardants was in cats. But in cats, mercury levels are 5.4 times higher in cats than in people. But it's important not just to make the comment and to have the research, but this is what's crucial for everybody to understand. What do cats love? Tuna fish.
Yeah.
Tuna fish. They love fish, right? What do we know tuna is loaded with?
Mercury.
So you not only look at the problem, but if you start to look at some of the little environmental factors, you can see, oh, wait a minute, these are the things that I'm dealing with. And who's an expert on mercury? Dr. Marina Carew, being the holistic dentist. So
I think the other thing that I find so amazing is the amount of people who are telling me that they've got very young dogs that need teeth extracting. Sorry, it was unheard of when I was a child that dogs had their teeth extracted unless they were very old. Now I'm hearing about dogs aged 2 having teeth extracted.
Yeah, and I can remember growing up, and the same thing with leukemia and cancer issues. These are things that never existed in animals. And my ex-mother-in-law actually wrote the book on conformation for Great Danes. And she was part of a research study in the United States, because Great Danes here in the US have rates of cancer that are, I think they're saying 10 to 20 times greater than the German Danes. And they've been trying to figure out why the breed is so susceptible to cancer now in the United States. And it's all environmental, and what's passed down. And I think the important part is understanding, and you see this more in one specific aspect of animals than you do in other areas. If you know horses, or if you like horses, one of the most entertaining parts of horses is thoroughbred racing, right? And thoroughbreds are known to be very flighty. But what makes them different than other breeds of horses? It's their travel schedule and their vaccine schedule, because every time a horse travels, they get vaccinated and they're loaded with more thimerosal. And the mares are loaded with so much thimerosal because of traveling and breeding that they poison the foals. So you have this amazing breed of horse that's become schizophrenic, basically, over multiple generations now, because they're so loaded with heavy metals because of the process that they're put through. But there's a term that I learned from my parents in my childhood that is applied. We can apply it in this instance because it is a term that is used in animal health care that has actually never been used or not allowed to be used in human health care. And that is the term of vaccinosis. in veterinary medicine, they have the term of vaccinosis, which is symptoms and complications and health issues caused by over-vaccination of animals. It's most prevalent on the East Coast because they over-vaccinate heavily because, well, you have to have a shot for everything. Funny that that's not applied in human health. But we digress to animals today. So, proceed.
I'm going to have to go. I did say to Sandy, I'm really sorry, but I've got a prior engagement. But I just wanted to say to everybody, you know, you save a fortune in vet's bills by giving them clean slates, because my dogs hardly ever go to the, well, they don't go to the vet, actually. They don't need to. They're healthy.
Mm-hmm. Thank you so much, Marina, for joining us. And everyone, go to Rooted. Well, do you need an invitation to go to Rooted Pets? I think it's a private group, right?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. So just reach out to Sandy or to myself.
Dori, they can just search for Rooted Pets and then ask to join it, and me and Marina will approve them.
Oh, super. Fantastic. And
okay.
Marina,
bye, everybody. Sorry.
Okay. Bye-bye. Thank you.
Marina.
Bye.
Thank you.
Yes.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Okay, we muted her.
Okay, so this is from the site. So I took a few testimonials. Well, this is really interesting. Now, is Victoria online today? Is she here at all? Because
the survey says no.
Okay. So here, this is what you'll find on Rooted Pets, which I think this is really interesting here. She has a border collie that has this black cancer spot in his eye on the lens there. And she started using the clean slate in the water. I know that you said, Clayton, like you want that you should put it in the food, but she's actually putting it in the water. She puts 4 drops a day that's shared by two collies. And within a week to 10 days, a week to 10 days, it started changing. And then she noticed only after, a few weeks later that it was almost gone. And the vet was so floored by this that he couldn't believe what he was seeing. Basically said, whatever you're giving him, keep on giving it to him. And she says that they love the water with the clean slate in it, and having a quarter of a pack of Restore every other day and loving it.
One of the cool things with dogs, and I've seen dogs and cats from experience of feedback. If you start giving them their drops and then maybe you miss a dose, they'll let you know, because energetically they can actually feel it. And they, I had a story from my parents of a cat owner that had a major chest tumor, and its chest had filled up with fluid, and he'd gone to 3 other veterinarians, and they just drained the fluid, and they told him the cat was going to die. And then they said, well, go see Dr. Thomas because they do crazy stuff. And they put this cat, I forgot how old he was. He was 7 or 8 years old, I think. And put him on, I think he got 3 drops twice a day on his food. And after a week, all the fluid in his chest was gone and the tumor was shrinking. And eventually the tumor went away. And he started acting like a kitten. He was out hunting birds and catching birds. And he was an outdoor cat. So he was fed every morning, and he would get his drops. And there was one morning where a guy was making his cat's food, put the food out, and the cat just looked at him. Looked at the food, looked at him, looked at the food, looked at him, looked at the food. And he's like, wait a minute. So he got the bottle, put his drops on there. Cat looked at him, started eating. He's like, okay, he knows. So they pay attention, and they know when something's really good for them, and they'll tell you. It's kind of the fun thing to watch. But like the cataracts and a lot of the vision stuff, and we've gone over the detox triangle and how important vision is. You can see it in animals. Like for our Fifi dog, we have, I think Fifi's, she's probably 12 now, French bulldog. And she's had some cataracts, so I made sure to get her drops, and I watched them clear up. And she's had a bunch of stuff slough out of her eyes, but then also watching the rest of them clear up. So it's kind of fun.
Okay, that's great. Next. Ooh, next we have Matt. Is Matt online today? Because I thought this was really interesting. I mean, look at his guppy here. I mean, and then his guppy turned like that blue color. That you see that?
Oh, he's not. I don't see him right now. I
Matt's
was stalking it earlier.
bad. Anyways, if you guys go to Rooted Pets and look at, and this is actually a video, you can see him like swimming around. So I mean, he is blue now. It's pretty cool. Blue.
And
He
you
says
can see
glows
that
mostly white color. He has more energy. He says his fish has more energy.
you will you'll see a change in the water as well. And so the fish love their drops, but you can see water clarity improve pretty quickly as well if you put a few drops in a tank or a bowl.
Okay. Well, here's one from Yvonne. Is Yvonne here today? Do you see Yvonne?
I thought I saw her.
Yvonne, if you're here, please unmute
I
yourself.
see she's not here, but I can say something to the falcon for Yvonne, not from the dog, but the dog comes better in a moment.
Okay.
The falcon was contaminated with aspergillus. It's a fungi. And it was too late when they have started to use the clean slate, but we have make a lot of treatments with this bird. He get inhalations with clean slate in the diffusing air and in the water. After she found out in contact with Clayton that she eat pollutions pigeons, and Clayton said, stop it. Can you listen to me?
Yeah.
Okay. This is was the food was so pollution also, because she had not known that pigeons have so much heavy metals and toxins inside. And after, because for the bird was too late, they have give him the last what is it? The last injection to say, okay, you can go now over the bridge to the rainbow, because it was too late starting with the treatments. She had not known the products before.
Oh, that's too bad.
There were some significant improvements that happened in the short term to improve that bird's quality, the quality of life. Because if I would assume most people here don't understand what Aspergillus does in birds. It's terminal. It's 100% kill rate. You don't get to survive it. If they get that fungus in their lungs, they're dead. And we saw some improvements, but like Michaela was touching on, sometimes you don't get to come back from what you're exposed to, but watching the improvements and watching some of the changes that did take place. And this is the crucial part. This gets into my veterinary history. That's so crucial. We do a much better job of giving our pets relief than we do humans. So if you're a pet owner and it gets the time, like Bob Barker used to say, spay and neuter your pets. I say take care of them. And when their quality of life is no longer there, give them the freedom to say, hey, we can let you go. And you can put them to sleep, because euthanasia is a very, very good thing at times. But there's a rule with this, that as your animals get older and it's time for them to go to sleep, you have to be there with them. That is the most important thing that you do, is you have to be there with them. It's so hard. But at that point, it's when they're scared and the only thing that they want is mom and dad. They want to know that you're there with them. So when it's time, don't just drop them off and leave. It's the worst thing you can ever do. We can do that with people, but don't do it with your pets.
That's so true. I mean, I used to work for 6 vets and as a vet tech. And so a lot of people would do that, just drop them off and just be done. And, you know, of course, I was always there. It was really sad. And they do want you. They want to feel you, you know, they're just amazing. Oh, well, so look at this. So this I thought was kind of cute. So with the third eye, right?
Can I say, Dr. Dori, sorry, can I say something more for
Yes.
the bird also?
Yes.
Because they have separated them because there was a couple of falcons and they must separate them, and the bird was coming sad, so sad that he was alone. There's all some more components on it. But sometimes we had the feeling now it goes up, but then it falls really bad down. And then she said, okay, now it's time to say goodbye. But it was a very interesting experience for the next, what we can give to other people also.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you for sharing. So anyway, so I thought this was cute because, you know, opening the third eye. So great. So thank you, Christina, for sharing that with us. And now it's time for Nude. Nude, unmute yourself, please, and tell us about these pictures and your animals.
Yeah, hello, everyone. Good evening. Well, I have 6 chickens, a rooster, and 3 chicks right now. You can see them in the pictures. I have 2 boars, a boar and a sow. I have them from a very young age. I have an American bully. We adopted him this January this year because the people couldn't handle him anymore and they want to put him asleep. But I think he was only 3 years, and it's not the dog that's the problem. So they came to us, and he's okay now. And then we have Asta. He's a little hunting dog. She's a lady. She's from Adel, we call it. Her name is Asta van de Annenburger Heide. She is a little mother of 20 pups. Well, she was a breeding female, and she's allowed to celebrate her old age with us. And she suffered from some characteristic and became a bit inactive. So she was the first one that I put on a clean slate, and her eyes were clear within 14 days, and she started acting like a little puppy. So I decided, okay, I put the pigs on clean slate. I put the chickens, the rooster, every animal at our place is now on a clean slate. And the American bully, he was a little bit very active in the beginning. He was hard to handle. So I put 0 in him as well. And then we first got a little bit to play, and then I start correcting him, and he's a very lovely dog now. So that are the animals at my place, and they are all walking through each other, and I'm always in the middle. Sometimes I have to correct a little, but it's going well. I love it. Thank you for Clean Slate, for Root, to take care of my animals. Thank you.
With the 0 in with the dogs, how much are you giving them? A half a capsule?
No, the big one gets a full capsule. I put it out of the capsule and I put it through his meal, and he has no problem with it.
He's not going under the tongue too?
No. That's only that's what I'm doing always. Yes. No, he gets calm and he's relaxed, and the same. Yeah, what happens to us, the same works with the dog. It's great. But I also gonna put them on restore. I didn't do that before, but I'm going to do that too. Yeah, great.
Well, and the one thing for the pigs is with feed animals, and this can be chickens, cows, pigs, sheep. We don't eat goats as much here, but in other countries, goat actually tastes pretty good when it's prepared properly. But the melamine and other environmental toxins that are in foods, in animal foods, clinoptilolite's actually very, very well established for its ability to bind melamine and other environmental toxins. And in its powdered form, it's been used for animal husbandry for decades. For actually knew this would be an interesting thing to get some of the powder, for the pigs, because it'll increase lean mass. So as a digestive aid, and it's in the powdered form, and that's what kaopectate is. But you can have some phenomenal benefits for livestock with just powdered clinoptilolite. And also because of its ability to bind nitrogen and ammonia, since we're on pet time, if you have cats, or if you're in the store and you go look at kitty litter, look at the contents of what make up the kitty litter. It's one of two things. It's either bentonite or clinoptilolite. So because zeolites, and clinoptilolite's really good at it, will bind nitrogen and ammonia. So they will take it out of like animal urine and such. But here's an interesting part, that if you're doing that and you have a garden and you're using clinoptilolite, you want to take that clinoptilolite and throw it in the garden, because what makes clinoptilolite really special from an agricultural standpoint is it will distribute, it will let go of the needed nitrogen and ammonia that the plants need. What makes it so unique and so special is this amazing crystal has the ability to work, through so many different areas. Yeah.
Thank you.
But that's so cool. And the chickens get a couple drops?
Yeah, I put them in the water silo. They got 2 drops in the silo, the little ones and the big ones. And the pigs got 3, and the big dog 3, 4, and the little dog 2 clean slate. Yeah, they're fine. And the dogs are happy. When I show them the bottle, they're all jumping all over the place. Okay, let's go. Yeah, they like it.
They know. That's the fun part, is they're very, all animals are insanely intuitive. Which is why with dogs, like the Tilly dog, she's been getting into some stuff. I need to reprimand her for a few things now, but if you get mad at a dog and you have angry feelings, they'll cower to you because they sense your emotion. They sense your negative energy. You don't have to do anything to them, but they're so energetically sensitive that they know, it's like, oh no, I did bad. And as humans, we have to become more intuitive to that. And that's where trusting your gut comes in, which is where cleaning up the system becomes more better. And you add your restore and you get your dopamine and serotonin levels higher. So you become more intuitive. So you can say more animal-like, more primal. Oh, because we had to rely on our senses. Not as much anymore.
Yeah. Right.
There's a question. Christy asked a question for assist.
Well, Hilda has a question before that.
So kidney failure. So here's an example. Actually, the first case that my parents actually got to work on in their veterinary practice when we started this journey years ago was a kitten that was given a canine flea collar. And so you guys know the chemicals that they use in flea collars or flea sprays for animals are type specific. You can't use a dog flea collar on a cat because you'll kill it. You'll cause liver and kidney failure quickly. Usually within about 24 hours, you'll kill it. And this family had brought in a kitten that was only a couple weeks old, I guess, that they had just, or maybe a little bit older than that, but they put a canine flea collar, and the cat crashed into immediate organ failure. And there's nothing you can typically do. Animal's gonna die, just how quickly. But when the cat came in, they gave it fluids and tried to do what they can. And my mom told the owner to say, hey, you know, we got this little bottle of stuff. We don't know what it'll do, but can we try it? She said, save my cat, do whatever. So my mom gave this kitten, and this was with the long ago product that's not as strong as Clean Slate. But it was in an acute circumstance. The cat got 1 drop every hour for 8 hours on a Friday afternoon. So while they were in the clinic, 1 drop every hour, put the kitten in the kennel, and came back Saturday morning to check on animals, expecting the cat to be dead because the cat should have died overnight. When they came back in the clinic, this kitten was running around its kennel going, hey, I feel amazing. And so with cats, like with a kidney issue, you could give them like one or 2 drops a couple times a day, because they're so small. And it's funny that a lot of people are only doing 1 or 2 drops, but you give them 1 or 2 drops and they'll be good. You just got to make sure their water dish is full and watch what happens. For cysts, oral. So if it's a dog or a cat, same thing, couple drops, depending upon their size. If you got a larger dog, like a Rottie or so, you might give them 3-4 drops. But you can use it topically. Now, if you have something that is like a palpable cyst, something larger, take pictures, please take pictures, document it, because you want to put a drop or 2 on the cyst, you know, and just to moisten it a little bit. I use Dori's favorite word, and put it on their food, and then watch. You can put the drops on the site twice a day when you're putting drops on their food or in their water, and then just watch what happens. Because one of 2 things usually happens from what we've seen. Either it will come out or it will go away. And when they come out, it's really cool. When that's my clinical history comes out. Those things intrigue me.
Did you notice how I didn't react to you?
You're trying not to. Retinal detachment. That's an interesting one. A lot of times that's a surgical procedure that's needed. But I mean, it's not going to hurt their vision. As you've seen a lot of the photos and a lot of the history. Cleaning up your system is going to improve eyesight. Sometimes retinal detachment can be due to environmental toxins and the weakening of some of the connective tissue. But it's not going to hurt them. But that might be a procedure that's needed. You never know.
Anyone else have any stories to share about their pets?
I want Harry's story, because he looks like he's been on an island with Tom Hanks for a while, that he was stranded with a couple animals. His hair and beard is going crazy. I'm jealous.
Hey, Dr. Dori.
Oh.
Hey.
Hey, Kathy Jo here.
Yes. Hey, Kathy Jo.
Hey, I took my dog to a new vet who's more holistically minded, because we got notification that our campground said we were mandated to vaccinate our pets, and that it was a county requirement. Of course, I did further digging, and that's not the case at all. I got that straight from the horse's mouth. But private campgrounds can do what they choose. So I went to her and they did a titer test. Okay. And she sent me a letter and all this stuff. But when she saw Buddy, she's like, what are you doing for your dog? He is so healthy. And so I shared with her, and she goes, oh my gosh, I live out in the country. I am surrounded by all these toxins. I'm wondering, what am I going to do for me? Can you please share with me what you're doing? So I just thought that was exciting, because Buddy was a rescue. And so he was very sick when we first got him a few years ago, but she was just amazed at his overall health.
Well, that's amazing. Thank you for sharing.
And he doesn't get the 0 in, but he does get the clean slate and the restore every now and then.
And how much are you giving?
The clean slate, he gets a drop AM and PM. And then the restore, I just scored a little bit out. It might be a 32nd of a teaspoon. It's not a whole lot. He's a small dog. He weighs 15 pounds.
Great. Thank you. And Newt has a question.
Yeah, I have a comment to make. I forgot to tell you that all my animals are on filtered water, except the pigs. I have a well here, and I had the water tested, and the water is okay for the pigs. And we put it also in big aquariums, and they tested that too for tropical fish, and it's perfectly. So, but I also start taking myself filtered water, and that's amazing, really. I tried to lose some weight for a while, and I restarted losing weight because of the water. That's what I think happens.
Yeah, I can
Yes.
really see that you look different. You look really good, Newt.
Yeah. 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 It's 98 kilos now. There was, well, a few years back, I was more than 130 kilos. So that's too much. Yeah.
Hey, you know what? The pigs are outside for a reason. They can carry the weight. You don't need to.
Yeah, right. And they do. They
Thank
called
you,
micro pigs, but I don't think that those really exist. That's
No.
not possible. Micro pigs. Oh,
Birgit,
thank you.
thank you, Newt. Okay, Birgit, you have a question? Like to share something?
Yes. Hello, Dr. Dori.
Hello.
I have 2 dogs, rescue dogs, and my biggest, he's 6 years old. So when I say biggest, he's not the oldest. They're the same. They're brothers born the same day. But he is bigger, and he had arthritis. He couldn't get up. He really had difficulties, getting his hips up. And so I said, you know what, let me try some clean slate. And I have to be honest, within a week, he was mobile again, running really actively. And his vet even said the fur is fantastic, teeth are great, they're looking amazing, both of my dogs. And then there is another friend of mine has a little Chihuahua that had epileptic seizures, but I'm talking about 2 or 3 a day, really bad. So I asked him to just give that little one drop a day. And the seizures are down now to maybe 1 a month or every 6 weeks. So just from 1 drop of clean slate every morning. So yeah, I find that absolutely amazing. So just wanted to share that.
Thank you. That's super amazing. Clayton, do you have anything to add to that?
That's so cool. No, the more you get to hear, the more you realize, like, okay, your pets will do well with it. But I was looking at Ingrid. Ingrid just asked a question too. If you have to give your dog antibiotics, can I still give them clean slate? Absolutely. And the important part, if they're on antibiotics, is to give them some Restore, because there's definite benefits to their gut. It's important that if you give a sick dog Restore, make sure that the door is open.
Well, I had a feral kitty. Well, I got 2. One is still here, and then the other one went missing for like a couple months. He just left and never came back. Well, after we got back from what was it, before we went to the beach? Yeah, before we went to the beach, he came up in the yard, and he just ran so fast to me, like he got lost somewhere. So he has like all these little round, they were red and like very irritated, but perfectly round circles of probably about like 7 or 8 of them. And he lays right here. I don't know if I can, if he will move for me to show you. But before I went to the beach, I put a drop on my finger and put them on the sore areas. Well, they are healing up beautifully. And then I also started him on just 1 drop a day on clean slate. And let me tell you what, he hugs me. I mean, he wanted to jump up and he scratched my ribs. he pounced for me, and I'm like, oh my God. But he climbs up to me and he puts his arm around me and just hugs me. He's so grateful. He's so thankful. But let me see if I can switch the camera around here. Well, I don't know. Let me see here if I can show you. I don't know if I can. Can't know if you can see. Let me see. Oh, like right there's one, and there's another one, and um, and they they are just healing beautifully. So it's a great testimony with him. And also there are worms coming out of his anus. Thank you for letting me share.
Everyone, thank you for getting on today and sharing your testimonials, or your pet testimonials, I should say. Anyone else?
Over your sinuses is amazing. And then after you do that, you take the rest of it and you just do a complete facial. Because if you haven't used Restore as a facial yet, you have no idea what you're missing out on. It is epic. Because all of us, if we did our Restore facials, we would start having skin like Claire.
I know. Have you seen Claire? She looks amazing. Where is she?
No, she has to sit away from the camera because her skin looks so good. The closer she gets, people start going, wait a minute, let's just focus on Claire.
Claire, say something.
As I said before, it's the Restore, sorry to rhyme. So, yeah, it works.
Like, she looks like a model with her hair blowing in the wind.
I know, she does.
I know it's really hot there.
It's hot here. It is so hot.
She's getting the pose. She's getting the pose. This is all Restore.
I'll be an advert for it.
Don't mind me. This is just Restore. Good thing we have this recorded. We can use that for a commercial.
My modeling days are showing through. Sorry about that.
Yeah,
they're coming back.
It's pretty amazing, because we can pretty much tie into the time when she got the Restore, when this evolution started.
Yeah, no, I pinned you. So
I'm gonna unmute.
Oh, she's done with us, Clayton.
Yeah, she's like,
it makes me
Claire's so uncomfortable. She's gonna red flag herself.
She's gonna cut herself out later. So Barbara, I saw that Barbara had her hand up. Did you want to say something, Barbara?
Hold on. So I got feedback from one of Christina's friends that is, I don't know if she's an esthetician, but she does eyelashes and facials and stuff. She said and I delivered her a box of her goodies. So we were chatting, about how amazing Restore is topically, and she did micro needling. I'm not sure where you do it, but she did micro needling on herself and then a Restore facial over that. She said it was absolutely amazing. And we will have feedback here very, very soon from probably one of the most elite spas in the country that is now adopting the use of Root products. It's a